Ladies and gentlemen, good evening again from Jerusalem. Behind me are the walls of the old city. A lot of celebration going on right now here, regardless of the Trump declaration. It is some sort of a play or some sort of a wedding. I'm not sure what it is, but life is as usual here in Jerusalem. Everything is calm and relaxed. In the Prime Minister's office, the lights are on, and the Prime Minister of Israel is giving his declaration right now, basically saying that President Trump took the right decision. President Trump just laid out all of his reasoning of why he should have done that and why he did that. Basically saying, guys, every aspect of the Iran deal was wrong. From the very assumption that they never really had a nuclear program, that was wrong, and it was, of course, it was proved by Israel, to the point that no one can really visit the nuclear sites without a week warning, to the point that no one can stop them from deceiving us today. And of course the sunset clause, which allows them basically at the end to acquire uranium as much as they want. Basically, President Trump told the world it was a horrible agreement. We paid cash. We revived not the economy of Iran, but we revived the military and the terrorism in the Middle East. That's what we did. When Iran received over $1 billion in cash from the United States, all that money was gone within days to terrorist organizations around the world, turning America indirectly to the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond that, I'm giving you the news from the last few minutes. The Israeli military just requested the Israeli citizens in the Golan Heights to open their bomb shelters. A very unusual movement of Iranian forces in Syria was detected, and we are being instructed to have the option of having to use the bomb shelters tonight. Netanyahu is making sure that the world knows that Iran is moving dangerous weapon to Syria right now, including chemical and biological and other things. Prime Minister Netanyahu therefore authorized the opening of the bomb shelters in northern Israel, and if we are going to hear or see something that will threaten us, a military action will be taking place tonight. I'm not trying to be dramatic. In fact, I'm trying to be as calm as I can. The situation is dramatic, and we are going to have a very long night here in Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, northern Israel was requested. The people were requested to open their bomb shelters. Again, unusual movement of Iranian forces in Syria is being detected as we speak. Israel's Air Force is on its highest alert ever, and we might have to take action. We might have to take care of business. We need also to understand, folks, that President Trump did not mention the Middle East peace process, and President Trump did not lump neither the move of the embassy to Jerusalem nor the withdrawal from the Iran deal with any conditions that he might impose on the Israeli side. Ladies and gentlemen, there were some false rumors and reports both in the Jerusalem Post and the Israeli newspaper Ma'ariv about the fact that President Trump is going to ask Israel to withdraw from parts of Jerusalem. This is not only that it's not true, but even those two newspapers stopped reporting that because they understood they did a big mistake. President Trump is not moving his embassy to Jerusalem to divide Jerusalem. You must understand the Palestinians are not looking at President Trump as any negotiator in this business. They don't want to listen to him. They don't want to be part of anything that he's brokering at the moment. And unless they are going to be pushed by other countries that support them, they will not care if he asks us to move out of here or out of there. President Trump announced not once, but many times, as far as he's concerned, if the parties would want to agree on dividing Jerusalem, that's between the parties. He is not going to cause Israel to divide its own capital. He did not recognize Jerusalem as capital of Israel in order for Jerusalem to divide it. You understand that one of the reasons the previous administrations always made sure not to acknowledge Jerusalem as capital is because they were about to impose Israel's dividing of Jerusalem. The minute President Trump acknowledged Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, that's the moment he basically took off the table any idea of dividing the city. He knows that the Israelis will not agree. He knows that the Palestinians will not settle for less than the Temple Mount and the Old City. And he understands that any little neighborhood here or there full of Palestinian Muslims is not going to satisfy anyone, and it's just going to create more problems. Ladies and gentlemen, the withdrawal of the Americans from the Iran deal is a withdrawal of America from the international community's effort to bring that false peace to the Middle East. And you must understand that as we speak right now, Iran is not about peace. Iran is not about anything that is peaceful. Ever since the Iran deal was signed, the Iranian military budget went up 40%. The Iranian involvement in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq, and in Lebanon had increased, and that helped the Hezbollah winning in the elections 2 days ago. And ever since the Iran deal was signed, Iran is way more aggressive and way more dangerous to the world. President Trump, like all other intelligence communities around the world, he decided to look at reality right at the face and say, I am not going to be part of that one. He also sent a message to the North Korean leader by saying, I am keeping my word. I am a man of my word, and I'm keeping my promises. I promised before I was elected as president that I will not live with this Iranian deal. Here I actually fulfill my promise. President Trump had a long conversation with President Xi from China today. Over 45 minutes of conversation without mentioning Iran even once. The idea is not to give Iran the place and the importance that it doesn't have. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary of State Pompeo is on his way to North Korea as we speak, not to deal with North Korea about war, but to deal about peace. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that President Trump is fully determined to bring about a solution to the Korean Peninsula conflict. He fully understands that American involvement in the Middle East, certainly in Israel, is not going to bring peace. He fully understands that imposing on the two sides some solutions isn't going to work. He said that when he was in Israel. He said that from the White House, that he will not impose anything, neither on the Israelis nor on the Palestinians. It will have to be their decision. As we speak right now, the Iranians are moving forces within Syria. As we speak right now, rocket launchers are being situated in parts where Shiite militias are right now controlling. As we speak right now, Israel is bracing for maybe 1 or 2 barrages of rockets that might fly from Syria. It's not a war. It's not even close to a war. Rockets were flying towards Israel many, many different times. This is why we have bomb shelters almost everywhere around the country. And not only that, you need to understand that Israel is determined to prevent that from happening. That might involve a military action as we speak, maybe even tonight, could be tomorrow. The Iranians are in a very deep confusion right now. On one hand, they don't want to be perceived as the aggressors, because by doing so they will prove President Trump right. But on the other hand, they don't want to let the Israeli attack on the T4 airbase last month to go unsettled. Therefore, the Iranians are trying to do the following thing. By the way, I can hear the flight of a lot of fighter jets. To have them flying above Jerusalem is quite unusual. But I want you to know that the Iranians are trying to do the following thing. That's what they've been doing for the longest time. They create a private army. They arm them with weapons. That's what they did in Yemen. That's what they did with Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's what they're doing in Syria right now. They create an army of non-Iranians. They give them the weapons. They teach them up to operate it. Then they run away and they let them attack. And when you come and you say you want to respond, the Iranian says, we didn't do it. We don't know what you're talking about. Israel is warning right now the Iranians. We know that they're doing it. We know that they're arming those militias. We know that they're teaching them how to pull the trigger. And we know that it is done by them for the sake of hurting Israel. And we will hold them responsible. Ladies and gentlemen, if you thought for a minute that the display of President Netanyahu, the public display of what we found in Iran, or what we brought from Iran, was an unnecessary thing, now you may finally change your mind to understand that that was the last straw for President Trump. When he saw those papers, when he realized the depth and the breadth and the width of the Iranian deception, he then decided it is enough. I don't even have to wait until May 12th. I can announce it right now that this whole thing is one big lie. So I want to repeat myself. First of all, Israel is bracing for some sort of hostile activity coming from Syria by the Iranian militias over there. Israel ordered the people of the Golan Heights to open their bomb shelters in case they might need to go there, even in the next few hours. Israel also warned the Iranians that we will hold them responsible if anything is going to fly towards Israel from either Syria or Lebanon. At the same time, I must make it clear, instead of suspecting that President Trump is against Israel or is about to dividing Jerusalem, I want you all to understand I have never seen any president so brave, standing in front of the entire world and saying this is a bad deal. Not only that we're not going to be part of it, we're going to now withdraw from it, and we're going to impose the strongest sanctions, not only on Iran, but we will also impose sanctions on anyone who helps them. In other words, any country that will do business with Iran and will encourage the Iranians to continue will be sanctioned by America. President Trump is sending a clear and a very, very direct message to the hypocrites in Europe and to the axis of evil of Russia and Turkey and Iran. He's basically saying, I know what you're up to. Now, let me make it very clear. He is not going to force Israel to withdraw from Jerusalem. He is not going to make Israel divide Jerusalem. These are false reports. These are false reports that even the Israeli media is no longer dealing with. You must understand that if anything, in the next few days, he's moving his embassy to Jerusalem. That is exactly why American presidents throughout the history did not want to move the embassy, because they had the plan to divide Jerusalem, but not President Trump. Right now, we're watching President Rouhani giving his speech from Tehran, and he's basically attacking President Trump, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting closer and closer to the day of all confrontation. But it's not Iran only. You must understand, Iran is weak. Iran is humiliated. You may not know that, but Khomeini came to power on February 1st, 1979 because of the outrage of the public that had suffered from financial crisis while the Shah was living a life of luxury. What we see today is the same thing. Iran's economy is in probably one of its worst shapes ever. The real, the Iranian currency, is just collapsing as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. The Iranian people are demonstrating every day all across the country. In football, in soccer stadiums, we have thousands of people chanting every week the name of the Shah. In other words, we miss the Shah, we miss the regime that we ourselves kicked out. Now we miss them. These Ayatollahs are just killing us. That's what the Iranian people are saying. And just before that, the Ayatollahs collapsed, Barack Obama gave them a lifeline in the shape of that Iran deal. And then all the billions that came into their economy were not invested in their economy. They were taken by their military to expand in Yemen, to expand in Syria, to expand in Lebanon, to expand in Iraq. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are watching is a stronger Iran when it comes to their international intention for destabilizing the region and causing it to be one big territory under their command. You must understand that President Trump, in his bold move, stopped America before America fell into the pit. He did that in so many other areas in my eyes, but he did that also now with Iran. The Europeans that were willing to to turn a blind eye to all the Iranian lies and deception. The Europeans are planning on making billions of dollars dealing with Iran. And they are very, very angry right now. They're shocked because they will not be able to deal with America and Iran at the same time. And since Iran is only 5% of America, they might have to choose basically America and not Iran. Iran is now having a terrible, terrible situation right now. Now, the agreement can continue, by the way. America just pulled out. But I want to tell you something. If America pulls out, you can imagine that the business is not going to be the same as Iran had hoped. But anyway, for the Iranian people, the deal never changed anything. For the Iranian people, the deal never made their life better. It was only some sort of a great treat that the regime received for his own vicious plans to expand all across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, I will repeat the next three things. One, President Trump announced a withdrawal from the Iran deal and is about to impose the most harshest sanctions ever on Iran or anything that will deal with Iran. Number two, Israel just ordered the opening of the bomb shelters on the Golan Heights because we detected unusual and very suspicious movement of Iranian troops and Iranian forces using or mobilizing dangerous weapons over there. Israel is bracing towards maybe some Iranian activity against us. Israel will maybe have to take care of business even tonight. Israeli jets are flying all over northern Israel right now, and when the moment comes, they will have to strike. Ladies and gentlemen, if it will be necessary, we are not even taking out of the table the option of toppling Bashar al-Assad. After all, he is the leader of Syria, and if he is allowing the Iranians to operate from Syria, we are announcing that we will hold him accountable as well. There's a very good chance, very good chance, that the escalation in the north right now will eventually lead to what we were talking about for a long time, the Isaiah 17 annihilation of Damascus. I'm not trying to dramatize or to sensationalize this whole thing. I'm telling you what Israeli ministers and Israeli prime minister said. A, we can hold Assad accountable and topple him. B, we can do what we need to do to eliminate an Iranian threat from where we are. C, at the same time, we will protect our citizens, and we will tell them to open the bomb shelters for the time being. Ladies and gentlemen, please stop dealing with the false reports and false rumors on Trump telling Israel to pull out of parts of Jerusalem. It is false, it is wrong, and even the two newspapers that dealt with that, Jerusalem Post and Ma'ariv, are no longer talking about it. It didn't even get any response from the Prime Minister's office because it's not true. The reporter that reported that said that sources told him that these things were told to the defense minister in Washington while he was there, and you can imagine that President Trump is not going to talk to Israel's defense minister in Washington without telling the Israeli prime minister anything. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so much disinformation regarding President Trump, and all of that is because the media hates him. It's because the media wants to turn the people of Israel even against him, but that's not going to happen. Israel is in love with President Trump. We've never had a president so pro-Israel. And may I add, and it's very important that you understand, when I try to look into what is it, who is this guy? I didn't look at his political views. When I heard what he said about the rights of the unborn, about his pro-life views today, this is when I knew that this guy is genuine. Now I know that his past is always hunting him, and I know that everybody's trying to put, bad things that he did in the past and just right to his face. I want to tell you something. I believe he's a new creation. I believe that the gospel was communicated to him. I believe that now he operates under that code. I don't know where he stands in his faith, but I do know one thing. None of us wants to be reminded of our past. And I also know that I judge him as president by what he's doing as president, not by what he did before. I want to encourage all of you, first of all, to pray for the safety of Israel, for the safety of northern Israel. I don't believe a war is going to break out with Iran only. Again, I said that before and I will say that again. If anything, the Gog and Magog war of Ezekiel will take place when Iran is only part of an attacking coalition. They are unable to do anything alone right now. All they can do is maybe just hit and run. All they can do now is maybe tell someone shoot a rocket and then hide behind the trees. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel is not going to start a war with Iran. Israel is not interested in a war with Iran, but Israel is interested in getting the Iranians out of Syria. And if anything, it will be on Syrian ground and Syrian soil. We don't need anything from the Iranians. They can stay where they belong. We don't want to go there. We don't want to bomb there. We have no expansion plans to take over Tehran one day. This is their country. It's not ours. But we have a problem when they come all the way and entrench themselves on our border. We have a problem with their arming to their teeth militias that they created so they can when time comes, strike Israel whenever they want. That's the problem we have, and we are not going to allow that to happen. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm not trying to hype things or sensationalize things. I'm just going to tell you up front, Israel, if we need to, even in the next day or two, we are going to make sure that Iran will not operate against us, and if it has to take the removal of Assad or the destruction of some key locations in Syria where the Iranians are hiding, we will have to do that. Prime Minister Netanyahu is expected to fly to Moscow and talk to President Putin about the situation. We're not sure, in light of what's going on right now in northern Israel and on the border in the Syrian territory, we're not sure if that is going to happen. Maybe tomorrow we'll know more. But one thing for sure, this is going to be a very long night to the people who live in northern Israel, especially those who live on the Golan Heights. The Israeli military just instructed all civilians to open their bomb shelters and make them available, because there might be a situation where we need the civilians to go into bomb shelters as we take care of business. So this is where we're standing right now. I wanted to talk about the withdrawal from the Iranian deal. I wanted you to understand the biblical implication of might happen in the next few days, and I also wanted to refute and to eliminate, take away from the table the false rumors and false reports on a possible Trump forcing Israel to withdraw from parts of Jerusalem. It is just not going to happen. He's the first president in 70 years that is moving the embassy of America to Jerusalem. And by doing so, he's basically saying, this is the capital of Israel. Israel has to say on what's happening in its capital. The Israeli military is now making the last preparations in the north to take care and eliminate the threat right now in the north. Hezbollah is, of course, in the highest alert as well in Lebanon, and it's going to be a very, very long night here in Israel. If something happens, and it will be something worth reporting, and I will be doing so right here in Jerusalem. But I want you to understand, folks, that in times like this, we, the people of God, we need to pray. We need to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We need to pray for the safety of Israel. We need to pray that the Lord will give us wisdom to deal with the situation. But tonight I want you to pray for President Trump. I want you to pray for this brave man, his decision. And I want you to pray that no weapon that is formed against him will prosper. It is very, very important that you understand that. He bought himself even more enemies tonight. Especially to the American people, I can say, this is your president. This is the one that God put in office right now. He is the man that you're supposed to pray for, hold in prayer. This man is a brave man, and I believe with all of my heart, many, many people here in Israel are going to pray for him tonight. But I would appreciate if all of you there in America would do the same. Prime Minister of Israel is probably not going to sleep tonight as well. In light of what is going on, we are detecting and monitoring the situation in Syria right now. This is exactly what we warned the world against, that anything that might happen to Iran, immediately Iran is going to use its proxies all around to somehow threaten Israel. We knew it's going to happen. And can you imagine if only Iran had nuclear weapon? Iran, by the way, as President Trump announced in his announcement, could enrich uranium to the level that it can use for a bomb within weeks. Iran is on the cusp of reaching that level. The sunset clause is so flawed in that agreement that basically no one can stop them from doing that even now. The inspection is a joke. The entire declaration of the Iranians that they are only seeking for nuclear energy is a joke. Everything was proved as one big lie. The world today received to its face, for the first time, a brave decision based on reality and not on deception. And right now, the world has to understand how to move forward. I believe that apart from President Rouhani and Ayatollah Khamenei, I also believe that at the same time, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was listening very, very carefully to what was said from the White House tonight. Here in Israel and in America is still daylight. And I believe that he's way more confident now that he's dealing with someone that can keep his word than ever before. The Secretary of State, Pompeo, is on his way to North Korea as we speak. President Trump is determined to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula. He's determined to prove himself as a man of his word. And I know it's very unusual for Americans to see politicians that fulfill their promises. But congratulations, you have one. Every single thing he said that he's going to do, he is indeed doing. I want to encourage all of you around the world, not only to pray, but also to comfort one another and edify one another and encourage one another. For us, these are amazing days, amazing times. We're not destined to the wrath of God. We're also watching historical things happening before our very eyes. And I want to encourage all of you guys from Jerusalem here to keep your eyes looking above. Indeed, our redemption is drawing near. In Israel, we're not afraid. Life is going on as usual. Northern Israel, the people on the Golan Heights that were instructed to open their bomb shelters, they're not panicky. They know exactly that sometimes this is what we need to do in order to eliminate threat. We are expecting maybe some activity, and we will take care of business if needed. Pray for the Israeli Prime Minister as well. Pray for the Israeli military. Pray for the pilots. Pray for the intelligence community to do their job. And I believe with all of my heart, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. I also want to tell you that I know the end of the book, and so do you. We know who wins. We know Israel will survive, Jerusalem will stay, and Jesus is going to come back to this city, not to Tehran, not to Moscow, and not to Ankara. I know the end of the story. I also know that my Bible doesn't tell me that Russia and Iran and Turkey will survive that war. So I'm not afraid. Neither should you. I'm not concerned. Neither should you. But I know that we're called to pray, and I know that we're called to support our leaders, and I know that we're called to be on our knees. And more so, I know that there is a dying and very, very blind world all around us that doesn't understand what's going on. And we are the people of God who have the good news. Share with them the good news, even today. Thank you, guys. keep looking for updates from me. I will make sure that if something happened, we will update you. I'm excited. I hope you're too. We've got 90 people here. We just made it to Jerusalem today. Tomorrow they're going to tour the old city and Mount of Olives and all of that, even the Western Wall. And we are going later on to go to the Red Sea and visit the city of Petra, even in Jordan. Great, great time. I want you to understand, folks, the enemy wants you to be afraid. You should not. We should stand firm and resist the aggression of the enemy. Thank you. Shalom from Jerusalem. And God bless you. And may we end up with a prayer that I hope that I can pray not only over you, but also over our own leaders. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord shine His face upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up His countenance towards you and give you peace. Shalom. That peace that surpasses all understanding. May the Lord give it to you. The Lord of peace can give you peace now and everywhere and all the time. That peace that surpasses all understanding is the peace that the world cannot give you. The peace that the world cannot even understand. It's the peace of God that we can only get from the Prince of Peace. Thank you. I love you. God bless you. And shalom from Jerusalem. Bye.